What's up, guys? I'm going to show you an easy way to model a shelf. I've been modeling shelves like this at least twice now, so I think I'm an expert here. But it's actually very simple. I got my screencast keys on so you can see what's going on. And we're going to start with the plane, Shift A, and we're just going to select plane. Now what we can do is we can go into edit mode by hitting tab, and we can scale by hitting S. Now we can scale on the Y-axis, and we're going to just hit 0.5 on our keyboard to cut it in half, and that is the base of our shelf already done. So now what I want to do is I want to actually go into our modifiers. I'm going to add a solidify. We want to, obviously, a shelf's not flat, we want it to have some thickness to it. We're going to click even thickness, and we're going to give it a 0.5 inch thickness in total. That looks pretty good. I'm going to hit Control A on the keyboard to apply, and now I'm just going to go ahead and bevel all of the edges. I'm going to select each edge. I'm going to hit Control B. I'm going to scroll up on the mouse to give it 4 segments. Bam. Now if we right click and shade smooth, we can see that it's a little bit pixelated still. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to just up that to 6. Just kidding, I can't count. We're going to up it to 8. And now if we shade smooth, you don't notice that artifacting as much. So what we can do here is we can actually, while we have these selected, we can create a copy of these, because this is also going to be our legs. So we'll hit Shift D and we'll move them up on the Z axis, and we will right click and separate by selection. Now we hit tab to exit out. Now we can select our legs. I'm just going to rename them to legs because I like to keep it organized. And we're going to rename the plane to shelf. So what we can do now is we can make this look a little bit nicer. So we're going to add a loop cut here. We're going to select the entire outer portion, and we're going to extrude the faces along the normals, just inwards ever so slightly. I'm hitting Shift on the keyboard so it's going slower, more manageable. And now I can hit 3 on my keyboard to go into face select, and we're going to hit X to delete faces. Hit 3 again. While holding Alt, we're just going to click on this loop and it'll select everything, X, and delete faces again. So now it's hollow. We have just a hollow shell. We can actually go one step further here. Select this rim, and we can separate that by selection, and we can add a solidify, and you see it's perfect, it's even. We'll just drag that down, and so now it's just a nice little lip here, and we can go ahead and apply that as well. The next step is we might as well just rejoin these. So we click Shift, we click both of them, and we hit Control J. And so now they're joined, it's one piece, we can move it around as one piece. Now back to our legs, that's where we want to give it a little bit more attention. So we're gonna add a solidify going outwards. By default, it wants to go in. So we're just gonna change that real quick by going into the negative. And we can just kind of loosely drag this to fit. That looks pretty good to me. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to hide the solidify modifier just so I can select a little bit easier. I can go like this now. Actually, what I think I'm going to do is instead of going through all that effort, we're going to leave the modifier on. We're going to scale by hitting S. We're going to scale on the... Okay, we're going to right click and we're going to set the origin to geometry first. And then we're going to scale on the Z. So now, you see what I mean? A lot less effort. We're just going to scale this up nice and tall. Drag this down. Not all the way to the bottom. Give it a couple inches here. And now we're going to apply one last modifier. An array modifier. By default in Blender 5, it likes to do the offset on the X. We don't need that, so we're just gonna change that to 0. We're gonna go on the Z axis, so we can go ahead and just drag it up till we see fit. Give it 4. And bam, we can apply all the modifiers we've done by hitting Control A. And let's select the legs while we have the base selected, and we'll hit Control J, and now it's all one piece. So we can go into our front view, we can drag this up. And what I like to do is I like to save everything to be used in my scene, so I can drag and drop this quickly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this to shelf, and I'm in the base collection here. This is also a shelf. I'll just put 2026. So now if I drag this into a scene, it'll be as simple as right clicking my directory, finding the file wherever it is on my computer, and you can just drag and drop it within seconds and you're good to go. So that's why it's good to learn how to model all of these smaller individual pieces, because if you're sitting there creating a scene and you have to model everything out by hand, it's going to take you hours. Now if I have to model out a garage, I can just drag this and drop this in, it's ready to go. Very, very quick and easy to do. You can see by the actual vertex count, the face count, and the tri count, it's not very heavy either, so it shouldn't lag your computer if you put it into a scene. In terms of texturing, you have plenty of options here. You can go into your rendered viewport here and I have an HDRI, that's why it's black. It won't be black for you by default, but we apply our HDRI here, change the value to 1. That's basically the lighting source, the lighting value. And we can do a couple different things here. We can add a material, and we can drag that down to a darker color. We can give it less roughness to make it shiny. We can give it more metallic to give it a rich, deep color. And right now it's trying to reflect all of the light that I have in this HDRI. So if I was to add, let's say here, an area, you can see right here, it's very shiny. You'll see that within the surface itself. So sometimes it's a good idea just to go into your material and just have a light right on it. So what we can do is we can see how it's going to affect it. So now if I have a big overhead light in my garage, right, I'm not going to have this square of light that's on it. It's going to actually look pretty decent. And there's plenty of things you can do here. What we can do is we can select the tops of all of these. We can add another material and say we want this to just be a dark gray. We can assign that as dark gray, and now it has a little bit more of a contrast to it. Let's darken this ever so slightly. So now it almost has like a fake shadow effect, because everywhere where it's not going to have light, it's kind of darker, and everywhere where light would hit, it's lighter by default. And that's without adding really any lights at all. It's still giving us that effect. So sometimes I will actually go and add a second tone of just fake shadows. So a good example of this would be the inner portions here. I would select these. I would just make this pure black. And then I would add roughness. So like you can see here, compared to this one's shiny, it's acting as if light's hitting it. This one's flat. No light's getting to this corner, nothing's reflective. But those are just a couple examples. If you have wooden textures, you can put a wooden texture on here as well. But for just keeping it really beginner friendly, you can just stick to colors. It doesn't have to be crazy. But yeah, sorry for rambling. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope I taught you something.